Ha ha! Welcome back to the Tavern Talk number 2. The one you were waiting for, apparently, and nobody asked me about that, but I want to make another one, and I had even a number 2, but the number 2 I didn't upload for weeks because I forgot about it, and now it's 2016. Well, it's the 11th of January 2016, so I thought, well, I can start that shit again. So, the topics of today is I want to bring some structure in there. So, but today's podcast is all about 2016, all about the stuff I did in my first week of 2016, which was mainly university stuff and a bit of gaming. But the thing is, I want to, talk about 2015 and 2016. So, hopes, challenges, everything. And I have made 3 top 5 lists. Well, I didn't make them. I have them quite good in my head. And, yeah. So, those lists will be, first of all, top 5 favorite games of 2015. Top 5 games I played in 2015, and I mean games that I played and started playing, like nothing like, I don't know, well, I played Half-Life 2 for the 23rd time, so I put that on the list. No, things that I started playing and stuck so much with me that they deserve to be my top 5. And, top 5 games that were disappointing to me in certain aspects. Well, yeah, top 5 disappointing games of 2015. And then I talk about a boot. How did I become Canadian? I am from Germany. I have the sick German accent. I don't want to sound Canadian with the boot and the boots and the cakes and the ice hockey and stuff. No. Nothing against you, Canada, only against the French people there. French-speaking Canadians. Grr, French. Yeah. 2016. Also a huge topic. But let's start, first of all, with the games of 2015, top 5. And let me look at my Steam list, because I know my number 1 and my number 2 and probably my number 3, but 4 and 5 will be kind of difficult. So let's start with number 5. And with number 5, I would say it is where is it? Rocket League. Rocket League would be my number 5 game of the year. And by the way, if I don't have anything on the list, I think everyone on every list knows, like, if I haven't discussed it here or didn't play it like the game, then I will probably not have it on my list. Like Witcher 3 I haven't played, Metal Gear Solid I haven't played, stuff like that. Yes, Fallout 4 I haven't played either. Sorry. But yeah. So my 5th game would be Rocket League. And for one, I played with a very, 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 very close friend of mine, Rocket League. And we had tons of fun. I think that was actually the first game I actively played with her together. Yeah, could be. And we had so much fun. The soundtrack is awesome. I'm not a soccer fan, or football, like it's called everywhere, except for you, America. Fuck you. I'm not a football fan, and I'm not a Cars fan, but my brothers and the rest of my family are. And I saw Rocket League while my brother played it on his console, on the PlayStation 4 we have. And I played that with my friend, and we had a blast. And if my controller wouldn't be broken, I would already have played Rocket League again. I could use an old PS3 controller, but I heard that, I had problems with it, depending on which game. Sometimes it would get blue screens, and blue screens are not good. not good at all. But yeah, fun gameplay, and it gives me like the adrenaline kick that I always get when I play fighting games. Which leaves me to number 4, which should be obviously Dragon Ball. Dragon Ball Xenoverse would be my number 4. Dragon Ball Xenoverse for the sole reason, first of all, I'm a huge Dragon Ball fan. I watch Dragon Ball videos probably even more than any other franchise videos. Dragon Ball Xenoverse was very special to me. I spent tons of hours in there. Let me see how much I spent in there. Where is it? Is it already in my favorites? I think it's already in my favorites. No. Where's my Dragon Ball Xenoverse? There. Yeah, close to 150 hours I played on Dragon Ball Xenoverse, and most of it was single player because, a bit of competitive, but when the entire thing broke because of the level increase and Super Saiyans and stuff like that, which, if you want more information, please go look that up if you're interested in the game, because online is just awful online gaming with Dragon Ball Xenoverse. There's so many broken builds that you can do nothing against, and those are most of the time 1 or 2 shot builds. It's ridiculous. And Xenoverse is the reason for my rage topic of the week, which I probably will talk about later. But yeah, Dragon Ball Xenoverse, awesome story. You can create your own Dragon Ball character. It's a bit like an MMO, but much of the 3D fighting from other Dragon Ball games. It's not the best Dragon Ball game, but it gave me so much free, not free, but fun experiences that I would say, yeah, it's a very, very awesome game. You should buy it. Buy the game. So, on the next spot on the list would be probably that I played this year, right? Would be, no, of the year. Not that I played this year. We're in the wrong category. Sorry. Would be obviously, it's a bit hard for me, but I would say it would go to one of 2. And I would say it's so hard. It's so hard. Why didn't I do a list before that? No. It would obviously, it goes to The Binding of Isaac Afterbirth, because Afterbirth gave so much more to the Binding of Isaac games that I would say Afterbirth is definitely my favorite Binding of Isaac expansion. It's an expansion. I mean, if you wouldn't do an expansion, I would probably give it to City Skylines, but it's like on the same level. Well, it's my top 5. I can say whatever I want. They are both on the same level. City Skylines and Binding of Isaac Afterbirth. Afterbirth expanded the Binding of Isaac with Rebirth, the remake of Binding of Isaac, with additional item combos, additional items in general, new level layouts and stuff like that. It's so much better than the original Binding of Isaac, and of course Rebirth. And City Skyline is a city builder. It's like the new SimCity, the new old SimCity, which what it should have been. And I never played a city builder before, by the way. And I hugely dislike the lack of depth in the game, because it's very easy. Except you play one of those community challenging maps, which are totally assholish. But yeah, otherwise, very easy game. But you can sink so many amounts of hours in that game. That having said, my number 2 is and will always be fucking Bloodborne. And Bloodborne, and this is very hard for me to say Bloodborne is number 2, but Bloodborne, holy fucking shit. I only did one playthrough of Bloodborne. One playthrough. And that is only because my brothers own the PS4 and I cannot play on that thing. I hate consoles so fucking much. I want to sit here on my PC, play my Bloodborne here with my 60 FPS and have a gorgeous game because I have such a expensive built PC that I could do that probably. My PC is definitely way better than a PS4, and I would say that Bloodborne would have been so much better on a PC than on the console. And yeah, I just want to have it on the PC. God damn it! But yeah, I just want to play Bloodborne because the game looks so awesome, the story is awesome, and the gameplay feels so good. Oh fuck! Yeah, but still, it's again, it was so fucking cool. Like, and my number 1 game of 2015 is Killing Floor 2. Oh, who would have guessed? Well, many of you wouldn't because I'm not talking so much about Killing Floor 2, but Killing Floor 2 is definitely my game of the year 2015 because even though I have to set something straight, Killing Floor 2 is obviously very slow in development, or was for the first half year. But now they're really, really working on the small things in the game. And I think that is very, very admirable. And I bought it the second it came out. And, well, it's not out, or it was not out technically. Or is it out yet? Officially? I don't know. Well, at least you can play the entire game. And in Killing Floor, I think I spent at least, let me see, Killing Floor, scroll. Killing Floor 2, yeah, 120 hours. It's not the most I spent this year, obviously, but I have to say I didn't play that much of the time during the beginnings of the game because I thought the builds were very boring for the team setups and stuff like that. I really, really started playing again shortly before the Firebug and Demolition update. And yeah, I punched myself through so I can max, I think, 2 classes now, 2 perks. And I did every classical map at that point. Well, not classical, even though even the added level, were there added levels even? I don't know. The levels that came with the update, all of those I did on Hell on Earth solo, and I spent in literally 2 weeks. I spent I don't know how many hours. Probably 70 hours, probably. So that's a game that ate my time, and I wanted to play. What's it called? The Gunslinger. I want to play that. I didn't really because it's not a good team class in my opinion. It's more of a solo play class, so I have to look into that. But yeah, have to look some strategies. Some things that I find very intriguing is the ability to kick back. That's very easily and stuff like that. But yeah, that's for Killing Floor discussions. But I'm very in love with Killing Floor 2, and this is definitely my game of the year 2015. Of 2015, of course. Now the games that I played this year, and this is very interesting because if I would not make a rule, the game would be that the entire list would be out of 2 franchises. Maximum. Yeah, 2 franchises. So I gave myself a little rule and said, so Renee, listen, you have to put games together that are basically, well, if they are from the same title and are like follow-ups to each other, I would say I can put them together if I want to. So the list is more diverse. You will notice that because if you know my number 1 and 2 picks, I would I would like bang, the entire list would be full. 5 places, 5 spots. So, well, at least 4 of them. Yeah, 4 of them. So let's start with number 5. And my number 5 game of this year is, without a doubt, I would say, that I played this year, by the way, is without a doubt, well, without a doubt, where is it? XCOM, Enemy Unknown. And yes, I started a playthrough in 2014, but haven't touched the game then until half a year later. And that was like in not even half a year, close to a year. In summer, or in September? Was it September already? I think it was September. In September, I think I touched XCOM again. October, one of the two. And the save before that was in August, and I played, I would say, a fair amount, and then the entire rest of the game. And I have 2 playthroughs. I played 52 hours, and I would say of those 52 hours, I played 32 this year. And I would say that can qualify for a game of this year, because I think I had very much fun, and I'm very much looking forward to XCOM 2. So yeah, that will be very, very, very awesome. Very, very awesome. And the game has so much depth, I just can't. I just can't. So on number fucking 4 is Fallout 3. So now I started playing Fallout 3 at the very end of the year, like directly before Christmas, I think 2 days before Christmas. I played Fallout 3, started it, thought it was like meh, Skyrim with guns, and I thought, well, this is not so good as Skyrim, of course, because Skyrim is a way younger game, so more content stuff, blah, 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 blah. But the fun part is that actually I like the post-apocalyptic stuff more than the fantasy stuff, and I usually hate post-apocalyptic stuff, because usually with post-apocalyptic stuff it's always like, everyone's a badass, you hit fucking bandits all the time, and like in Borderlands is very, very close to, well, it's probably, if you would sort it in, like a futuristic post-apocalyptic game from the design choice here, and even that rubs me the wrong way. I hate that style in theory. I love Borderlands, so even though, well, yeah, the game is quite boring. But Fallout 3, I'm very intrigued. I'm close to, well, I have played through the story now, and I'm only doing the DLCs, and then I'm moving to New Vegas. And Fallout 3 really, really intrigued me because I don't know, I thought the premise of the story was very cool. I'm very disappointed with the ending, and I'm very disappointing with how the ending insults me for smart choices, which is very, very stupid. And I played it like, the fun part is I played it like, I made a roleplay run. I played like Boba Fett, like little badass and stuff like that. And yeah, very, very, very fun game. Moving to number 3 are Fallout 1 and 2. And those two I put together because, for the very, 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 very simple reason that I think that those two games are so close to each other that 2 spots on the list would be too much. And Fallout 1 and 2 are basically, well, they were basically the Souls principle, for me at least. You go in there, think, oh, holy shit, what do I have to figure out here? What am I supposed to do? Like this. And I started my journey, and I went and did my stuff, and the turn-based combat reminded me of XCOM because the only reason I played Fallout, by the way, Fallout 1 and 2, was because not only that I heard from Total Biscuit that the game should be very, very cool and you have much choice and stuff like that, but also because it was so close to XCOM combat-wise. Yeah, you didn't have the cover system and stuff, but the turn-based combat with percentages and yada yada yada. And I think it has even more depth than XCOM's combat in some aspects, but not in all. Like Fallout 1 and 2, I played a small guns character, like a sneaking, a sneaking sharpshooter who always goes for the head, and that was fucking overpowered. And I think I started a second playthrough as a fist fighter, and that was cool as well. Maybe I'm continuing that. Maybe, well, I want to play Fallout walkthroughs on my channel, or playthroughs. But we will see. First of all, we do the Souls games, and those two games, Fallout 1 and 2, very cool. I love the story. I love the story very much. I love how different settings in your character can result entirely different playthroughs. And the story frame is the same, but the choices you do, change the entire ending, and can even change how your game goes. Like, the main story quest goes very much the same. Doesn't matter how you play it, but depending on what you say, you have like all the cities and hubs. People will remember you. People will act on you differently. People will actually attack you depending on how good your standing is around town. And when you go through the wastelands, you have random encounters with random people. You can just say, well, I don't only want to visit cities. I just go there on that specific mark on the map, and there's a special encounter with special people and stuff. It's very, very cool. Very, very cool. And Fallout 1 and 2, especially the customization part, I love it to death. I really love it to death. And even though I rushed through Fallout 2 so I can play Fallout 3, when I rushed through 2 at the very end because I wanted to play Fallout 3, gave me the games gave me so much for so little because I got them free on GOG. And this was worth it. I would have paid $10 or so for each of those games. It was cool. And while we're talking about Souls, let's get to my number 2 spot. And this goes to fucking Bloodborne. Yay! Who would have guessed the game of 2015? One of them is on my list. Bloodborne. Bloodborne, I would say, and Killing Floor, because first of all, I fucked up and I wanted to say Bloodborne But then I remembered Killing Floor is also on the list, and why is this on the list and Killing Floor not? No, Bloodborne and Killing Floor. I think for the same reasons as I said before, the games have so much good gameplay, and it's really a tie between those two. And yeah, if you really want to hear the entire text again, please just scroll back. I think I said enough about those games like a little fangirl that I am. And my number one spot of the game of the year, for me at least, 2015, is fucking Dark Souls 1. Holy fucking shit. When I started that game, I immediately quit in 2014. I immediately quit. I thought, well, this game is fucking bullshit. Because daggers are not as effective as swords. How outrageous! But holy fucking shit. When I sat down and said, okay, Renee, come on, we learn it now. We learn why everything is the way it is and statting and stuff like that. Just read a bit stuff up. I spent hundreds of hours in this game. And I spent at least half of the time like every evening I went to bed, took my mobile phone out and read up on strategies, on weapons, on stuff like that. It was fucking awesome. And I love how, and you can see that very much in my videos, I love how the scaling of my skill in this game changed from the very first episode of the normal playthrough, which was my second playthrough overall, that I really started my second, playthrough that I wanted to play the game through. And then after New Games Plus 7, when I was like, now I do the game finally and finish everything with a let's play. And all of a sudden, bam! I'm like, wow, I'm totally different in this game. Like, entirely different. And I think something funny is that even if you, let me say, that even if you are completely, I would say, not bad, but not pro, like, you learn so much stuff through your playthroughs and learn when the exact frames are when your weapon strikes, and this is very, very interesting. I don't know, I think it's a journey that many people should do and many people can do, and people are just afraid of it because some bros say it's a very hard game, but it's just like a game you have to put some effort into it. It's nothing hard. If it's too hard for you, pick out a shield and block your way through and take a straight sword so you won't have problems. That's literally what you can do. It's just that. And the game will be so much easier for you. When you get into the meat of the entire thing, where you would, for example, like me, play with a halberd and play with a weapon that has a big downside if you don't hit your enemy with it, that gets something entirely differently. Or when you play with rapiers, which are fast but hit weaker than other weapons. I think there you will get into the meat that many people enjoy. And I think that is the entire thing why I love this game. To put it into perspective, I spent so much time in this game, really, that the only game I think I spent more time with is World of Warcraft. And that is only because that's an MMO. And I think if you are really honest to yourself, or if I am really honest to myself, I never had like the game that I would call my favorite game of all time. I mean, the closest thing was Portal, which I started to speed run, quote unquote, glitchless, and I'm not that good at it. So, yeah, that was like, wow, so awesome. And I would say Dark Souls is my favorite game of all time. And it's sometimes cliche because you hear that so often, but I've built such a strong bond with that game. And I'm not like those guys who say, oh, it's the hardest game ever. It's like, oh, I'm so good. Oh, get good scrubs. And blah, 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 blah. I'm on the camp that says it's understandably easy if you put time and effort into it. And I can understand the people who can't. I know people who can't. I know people who just cannot do that. And it's not a genre for everybody. It's an action RPG. I mean, people don't like those sometimes, often. There are people who are playing then strategy games then and would be kicking my butt in fucking StarCraft 2 and with their, I don't know, 30 plus actions per minute, and I think there are people who do way more. I think I heard sometimes of more than 70 or something like that. I don't know. I'm not a good strategy player. But that's like a thing that people, I don't know. If you like active combat and if you like controlling one character and have not played Dark Souls 1, I think you should give it a go. I think you should just go there, take a class that, can do something like the Deprived. Don't let that guy fool you with a club at the beginning. You are fucking overpowered. You one-shot everything. Just go with the weak attacks, two-hand your weapon, and get a shield, learn to defend, and just hit those people. Make a strength build. Make a purely strength build. Keep the club until the very end. It doesn't matter. The club is a very good item and can be a very good item for PvE. I mean, every weapon can be good for PvE, but the club is exceptionally good. And just learn the game. Just be patient. Souls games are patient games, except for Bloodborne, which is like a reflection. It's more of reflexes than patience. At least on the PvE aspect. And just let it flow through you. I think that is the best advice I can give for that. And now, for the disappointments of 2015. The disappointments. Let me start by saying, number 5 will be a game that I enjoy, but which is still a disappointment, but is so bearable that I can play it even though it's disappointing. And number 5 is Star Wars Battlefront. And I bought Battlefront while it was on sale for 35, I think, or 36 euros. The euro dollars. And I think Star Wars Battlefront had so much potential. Star Wars Battlefront, I called it from the very beginning. I said Star Wars Battlefront would not have any depth. People were insulting me over that. People were saying I'm a bigot who doesn't just like shooter games and it will be the best games of all time and blah, 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 blah. And in the end, I was right. And I don't want to sound like a fucking asshole, but sometimes, or in very, 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 very many instances, when I say preemptively, I played a build of a game on a convention or something like that, played more than a round, and had some time to learn about the game, and played a beta, and played the beta extensively, and I say the game has no depth, and the game will not have any depth because they don't do so much adding to to the release from the beta on. And when I say the gameplay is quite bland and is very, very casually and doesn't keep players very long because you had, like, lack of depth is the reason why games die out very quickly. So, and in the end I was right. And in the end I am right. That does not mean that I don't enjoy that fucking game. I enjoy the game. I can play it for 4 to 5 hours straight. If you have a good fire team partner, do you still call that fire team like in Medal of Honor? I don't know. If you have a good partner, you can play with him and just shoot stuff and do objectives. It is very funny. You can spend so much time with that. You can just play the objective. And it's like, it reminds me a bit of old school Team Fortress without classes. Like, mix a bit of old school Team Fortress with Call of Duty, and you have the recipe of what Battlefront is. You have like objective-based gameplay with much arcadey killing and with customization aspects, but no classes, and you don't have very much choice in what you take as loadouts. Like a mix of classic Team Fortress 2, by the way, not TFC, TF2. And Call of Duty's class editor into the mix, and from the kill speed also Call of Duty. But the game is gorgeous. The game runs on max settings, fucking fluent on my game. That is not on my PC. My PC was a high-end PC. Now it's like okay mid-tier. I think good mid-tier maybe. Even better than good mid-tier, I would say bad low tier, bad high tier, like something between that. And I have to say the game runs at 60 plus on max settings. And I only have one graphics card and stuff like that. And I have one 40 hertz monitor, so and also I have like always an FPS counter running because GeForce graphics card can do that. But the game runs fucking fluent, and I have to say that I am very, very surprised by how much DICE improved on the Frostbite engine, because Battlefield 4 doesn't run fluent all the time. There are parts where I say, there's a FPS drop or something like that. Games like World of Warcraft, well, World of Warcraft is not optimized for good graphics card, but these games don't run as fluent as Battlefront sometimes. And that is a big like selling point for people who like graphics. The game is awesome, and if you can live with dull gameplay at some points, yeah. But the builds are something that I really enjoy, because if you don't do DL44 all the time, and I know you're at a disadvantage when you just don't equip that thing, you can just have so many fun builds. Like I saw more often than not Jetpack and the Bowcaster from the Wookiees that just is like, yeah, I rocket jump over you and shoot you bolts in the head. I think that is very creative building, and I know many people use those style builds, but I had so much time building, just making fun builds and even dominating with those, because people don't just realize what hit them. I mean, I made a fun build that is like, yeah, I'm weak Boba Fett, and I go to Boba Fett as soon as I find a hero pickup. Like, I just take the Boba Fett gun, take a jump pack, take a homing shot with me, which is, yeah, very, very standard build for many players, but take the bounty hunter per trade, so I get pickups and stuff like that. It's very fun. You can do very much if you just break out of the competitiveness of the game, and sometimes you dominate even though you don't have a competitive build. And I think if you have someone else that can just help you and assist you, and you can do so much more. And I think what the game needs is more weapons, more customization, because that is one of the strongest points of that game, the customization aspect. You have to work on that DICE, and I think you owe the Star Wars fan base for that. And I think it's cheap to say, the game has very much errors, and well, that's why it is on my most disappointing games of 2015. But yeah, Moving on. Number 4 is Mortal Kombat X. And Mortal Kombat X is a game that I thoroughly loved. Like, I liked playing the game, but on PC it was a disappointment. And I say that for the very reason because I have to say the PC support was horrid. The installing of the game was horrid. If you have not heard it, it was like the World of Warcraft installation, if you have ever done that. I think that is added even in some other programs now and other games and stuff like that. For example, in the Battle.net client, I think most of you have played a Battle.net client game before. You install the necessary parts and then you can play the game. You are locked out of some stuff like high definition graphics or some sound effects and stuff like that. The same they did with Mortal Kombat. Now, Mortal Kombat was like, I don't know if the thing is, let me see, Mortal Kombat X, where are you? Mortal Kombat X. Now, Mortal Kombat X had like 29 parts for the install. 29. The thing is, after the install, the game most of the time didn't even realize that you have had the game installed, and yes, that was very, very bad. Very, very, very bad. Because, as you can imagine, you had very much problems because that was the first game that they tried that shit on. And I think for that alone and how the game died down very quickly, I just have to say, yeah, disappointing. Don't have any much more to say. I think the game made much fun, but even the online system is quite of bullshit. If you want to get all the achievements, have fun getting those because you're dependent on online communities. And yeah, nope. Now, for the disappointment number 3, I would say it would be... Where is it? Do I have it in mind? Do I have that game right now in mind? Sorry, I have to flick quickly through my Steam thing because I had that list in my head, but I want to say my Kopf, and Kopf is the word for head in German, by the way. Where was it? Where was the game? Fuck. Oh yeah, yeah. Now I know. Now, a game that was a huge disappointment for me in some aspects was Vermintide. And don't get me wrong, Vermintide is a horde shooter game. Apparently it makes fun. Well, apparently not only, but it makes fun. But the problem is the build of Vermintide that I played was quite broken. And I played it pre-release. I haven't played it after that, so I'm talking about the early access version of the game, and it was horribly broken in my opinion. I don't know. Many people said it was very good, but for my experience, many NPCs stuck inside each other. There were connection problems. There were graphical problems, at least with my partners. And yeah, I don't know what the deal was with that game. Again, it's on the pre-fucking release version. So my God, my English today. It's on the pre-release version, so I wouldn't give so much about that statement. But I will play it again in 2016. I will probably play it, maybe if I can convince my friend to play it with me? Question mark. even this week. So I could tell, yeah, next week, like, hey, this game is so much better now. But yeah, for the time being, I would say that is a huge disappointment for me in some aspects. Now, my number 2 disappointment was fucking Evolve. And many people totally forgot the game existed. I'm not even kidding you. If you ask somebody, hey, what have you played in early 2015? Everyone is saying, huh, good question. And then I say, what about, I don't know, Evolve? And they say, oh yeah, that came out this year. I totally, last year. Oh, I forgot that. Sorry. And Evolve is, I mean, if you have a game that had a fucking huge budget and its release is so unimportant that, yeah, the game instantly dies and nobody remembers it. Not a very good idea. But anyways, yeah. Evolve had a very good concept in my opinion. Evolve would be very funny if you play with 5 friends and one person would be randomly picked out again and again to be the monster. That is very funny. That has something of Trouble in Terrorist Town, just with fucking friends fucking around. I think then it's funny, but as soon as you play with randoms and as soon as you play against random monsters, it's boring. It's so boring. It's like, we're running around for 10 minutes and then the monster comes and has to do the objective and no. Just no. In my opinion, Evolve was a very huge disappointment. I think everyone can speak for everyone who played that game and quit it very quickly can tell you the same thing. It had no depth. It had an unlock system which was ugh, and most importantly, the game was just horrid in some aspects. Like, it was very basic, like many games this year, but it was also very, I would say, how to put it? It was very DLC heavy, and as soon as you got your pre-order bonus, because the new they log, for example, new hunters, and I think this shit should be free content, in my opinion, because hunters are like gameplay changers, and why should you be or shouldn't you have? Well, you get a huge disadvantage if you don't have all the hunters, because some of them can be very good, some of them can be very bad. But why do I have to pay money for stuff that other people can like just play and beat our asses with? For example, you just separate an entire player base, because you separate the player base between the people who pay the money and just, well, steamroll everyone. Because I heard, again, that some of the new hunters are very overpowered in comparison to other hunters. So with the monsters. And then you have those who don't pay and have a disadvantage. I think that is very bad, in my honest opinion. And, yeah, but that's for Evolve. And that was quite well, idiotic. Well, I don't know. My biggest disappointment of 2015. Fucking Game of Thrones Telltale game. Holy fucking shit. Where do I start with that one? Just to make it clear, the Game of Thrones game is the first Telltale game I've played. I haven't played The Wolf Among Us. I haven't played The Walking Dead. I just watched those on YouTube. And I haven't played a single one of those games. Not a single one. So Game of Thrones was my first one, and I knew from the very beginning, okay, this will be show-based. And also I have to, as I said multiple times, I'm a book nerd. And at least in this case, and in the case of fucking Hunger Games, but that's another topic. I have my book collection to the right of me, and I have to say the TV series is lacking so much depth that, yeah. Well, just started playing the game and wasn't expecting anything. But then the first episode, which was very good, the second was okay, the third was meh, the fourth was and the last two were oh god. I think the game was so disappointing to me because it was very obvious that your choices didn't matter again. And Telltale has a huge problem with that because they're shitting out games and they're just making them skins of each other. Well, Telltale is obviously resting on the success of the Walking Dead game, on the first one. But what my point was is that the Game of Thrones game has nothing except for the setting to do with the entire mythos. And I think it's not only bad, it's horrible. The only thing that is close to being related to the books, or if you want to put it that way, the TV series more, because, well, fuck it. The game is just doing its own fucking thing. It's just running rampant. I'm sorry. The game is just like, yeah, we are just making our own thing, and we have those huge conflicts that nobody ever mentions. And the game takes place right after the Red Wedding. And what also happens is that, well, the game starts with a character called Garrett getting sent to the war. And that's all fine and dandy, yada yada yada, because his family gets killed by Lannister soldiers and he attacks the Lannister soldiers, blah blah blah. So that's okay. But then we have other characters like Mira Forrester, which is a handmaiden of Marjorie Tyrell. We have Asher Forrester, who is in Marine. We have Roderick Forrester, who doesn't do jack shit. At the very beginning, we have his little brother Ian, which we play, and other characters. That's basically it. So you play those four characters. You play. I mentioned earlier. You play those four. Do your shit. And the first one of those gets killed in the very first episode. Wow. So we go to the second episode, and now we have we have this butterfly effect that should be a butterfly effect but isn't, where everything moves always in that same direction again. Like, you have to see it like this. It's like a simplified version of a DNA strand. You have those like whirly things that run apart and together again. That's like basically what Telltale games are. Like, your story runs apart but always runs into each other again. Now, is this actually a bad thing? In theory, no. You can do that, but you should have some balls and make decisions and do more work, basically. And I think for stuff like that, the episodic format of the Telltale games is very bad. I think they should do 2 episodes maximum. and just make them bigger with the choices, or make them, well, in total shorter, that you have like a 4-hour game, but have a good 4-hour game. That's the difference. And then make the seasons. Because those games aren't expensive, you're not asking too much of the consumer here. If you make them like $20, you make them 4 to 5 hours long, but have much replay value. Now, if we put those together and discuss what fucking Game of Thrones did wrong is, first of all, it had universe breaking, because the fucking and I'm going to talk about episode 6 mainly here, because that took the cake. You have blood magic, which is not even discussed in the books, yet let alone the TV series, which is in theory nothing bad, but the thing is that it's presented as the mightiest thing ever, and you just cannot make a spin-off game and just create the mightiest thing ever, and we can use that, and nobody mentions that ever somewhere again. And then we have the thing that I thought was ridiculous, which was Mira Forrester's trial. So the story of Mira Forrester is like, she wants to help her family because they're with the war. They are starting a war with the Whitehills, another family, over the Ironwood, which, yes, could be, but the context of that is quite stupid. And the thing is that Mira wants to help from King's Landing, and she is supporting Marjorie and wants Marjorie to support her. And that doesn't really work, and she does her own thing, and she's like the intrigue character, right? Because we need an intrigue character in fucking Game of Thrones. So we get we get just, I don't know, the stupidest solution of a character plot ever, because she falls into a trap of a Whitehill supporter, and he says at the very end, yeah, no, you killed a Lannister guard, and now you will die. But I can keep you in a prison, and you can be, and I think sometimes some telltale person just lives his fetish out there. And he says, yeah, no, you can be my breeding MILF, and I can fuck you all the time I want, everywhere, anywhere, anytime. Just make children for me, and I take the power. Like some weird hentai fetish fantasy. It's very, very cringe-worthy. Very cringe-worthy. And not only that, if you say no like I did, you are instantly beheaded. Might I add that you are a fucking noble who was the handmaiden, or is actually the handmaiden, depending on your choice, of Marjorie Tyrell, and don't even get a trial? Fucking Eddard Stark was rotting for 8 days or so in his cell. Fucking Tyrion Lannister had so many days. And Mira just gets beheaded on the same day. Holy fucking shit, how stupid is that plot? And then you can also choose between one of two brothers to survive the game. And depending on that, and that was a cool idea, depending on that, the final confrontation with the Whitehill dudes was different. And then I have to pay respect for. But this will also be another fight as soon as season 2 of the game starts. So why even bother? Really. And I think, yeah, this is the most disappointing game for me, because I love this franchise so much. And it just was universe breaking and so disappointing. But yeah. Now, 2016, what do I look forward to? I don't have to say Dark Souls 3, right? Because Dark Souls 3 is like the obvious choice. Fucking Overwatch also, and And there was Street Fighter 5. Those are the three main games I'm looking forward to and that are coming out early this year. And then more Legion, which will come out later. But those three games, holy fucking shit, I'm looking forward to that. And I will talk about that next time because we're hitting the 1 hour mark and I wanted to make this one only 1 hour. Bah, no, 1 hour. But yeah, rage topic of the week. I will quickly do that and then I will end this one. Rage topic of the week. I had a fucking discussion over 2 days with sorry if I am a bit ragey about this, but with a person that meant Dragon Ball Xenoverse, a clear fighting game, was a fucking action RPG. So I thought, first of all, troll. But no, he wrote 90 lines of comments every time I wrote back. And in the end I said, well, you are making no fucking sense. Fuck you. Sorry, I'm not discussing with you anymore. And even then he wrote 90 lines again. And I read through that, and it was bullshit. He says, yeah, it has a single-player focus, which, first of all, is not true. It's a single-player game, and therefore it's an action RPG. That was his argumentation. It's a fighting game. It's literally a fighting game. You do combos, you have special moves. Yes, there are things that can happen in action RPGs, but you're fighting enemies that are on your level. Case in point, it's primarily one-on-one fighting or fighting against people on your level with, like, team fighting with people on your level, like your custom characters. That was the entire thing that game was about. Make your custom Dragon Ball Z character and fight against other custom Dragon Ball Z characters. That was the main selling point of the game. This is clearly a fighting game. An action RPG would be like, yeah, I'm going in there and now I'm fighting 20 enemies that are below my skill level but can kill me. And now I'm fighting a boss. And now I have character development and huge, deep customization and equipping stuff and stuff like that. Yes, you can do that, but in Xenoverse, but it's just as ridiculous as calling Borderlands an RPG. It's not an RPG, it's just a game with RPG elements. And yes, those RPG elements are very good. That's undeniable, but it's a fighting game, a role-playing game in one, but not an action RPG. And being so idiotic to broaden action RPG to like engulf 3 other genres, it's ridiculous. I'm sorry. And I'm very, very, very angry about that, even speaking right now, that this idiot keeps insulting me for saying, no, it's a fighting game. And then I'm bringing up definitions, which is also very funny. I'm bringing up definitions. Yeah, this game is a fighting game, and here's why. And I look up the definition of a fighting game. I'm looking up a definition of an action RPG. I'm posting that to him. And he says, yeah, definitions can be broadened. Yeah, right, because I can broaden every definition as far as I want. So I can broaden the definition of consensual sex to rape, because people can get pleasure in theory out of rape that is consensual sex. That's like argumentation stretched to an extreme example, but it's the same procedure. And then I said, well, your argument is non-logical because, sorry, but I do for half a year now logic in my philosophy studium. Is it called studium in English? Well, at university, blah blah. I do logic, the course is called, and you learn argumentative structure and senseful argumenting and stuff like that on a scientific level even. And if I read that shit and see, well, here are holes in your argumentation, and I point that out, and he ignores that and makes it a circular argument. It's like the thing that I hate with debating or talking to people online who are saying, well, the Bible is true because the Bible is true because God said so, because the Bible said God said so, it is like that. That's a circular argument. And he was like, yeah, no, I play PvE in Xenoverse, so it has to be an action RPG because I hit 3 Cybermen at a time, and that is the reason why that is like, because I like that. And no, PvP is not the end game of the game, primarily because I play something else in this game. And I'm like, what the actual fuck are you talking about? If you can make your end game in a game as much as you like. For example, let me take another example. World of fucking Warcraft, again. That's like the simplest example. The end game of World of Warcraft is PvP and PvE. That's the entire end game of the game. That's the meat of the game. That is what people do mainly and what the game is intended to be. What other people do is farming, fishing, making money in World of Warcraft and have like millions and don't know what they have to do with that. Achievements, that are all things that you can do in your own end game, but they are not intended as the end game. That are things that you can do to kill your time. And in Dragon Ball Xenoverse, you just do NPC hitting because you want to level your characters and to unlock stuff. And once you have unlocked everything, you usually go to PvP just to make your own builds and fight other characters. And then I brought the example of Dark Souls in general with the PvP. The endgame of Dark Souls is playing through New Game Plus 7. That is your PvE endgame in this game. That is what you do in your endgame. So, okay? And once people do that and don't have anything to do, many people, the majority of people go to PvP then because they have content that they can, well, fight always in and just beat each other and fight against people on their level. That does not mean that it was intended endgame. And I told him 5 times or so, and he always said, no, you are saying that PvP is the only endgame. And I said, no, people make that the endgame. It's not the intended endgame, but it's not what the game was marketed for, but people do that just to kill their time for the next game that has, again, intended endgame. PvP in Dark Souls was just like a time killer, like it is in Xenoverse, just to make like additional content that is there, but you don't have to do it. While your endgame goal is something entirely different, in theory. You can change your endgame however you want, but that's your personal goal. That are personal goals. Not the endgame that was intended or that the game was developed for. And I think this is just hypocritical to even call out, and by the way, everyone who loves PvP and competitive play, he called everyone an egotistical fuck that is like, yeah, no, I'm the best around, nothing gonna ever take me down, blah, 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 and nobody, every PvP player is an idiot, a moron, and stupid, and I hate all PvP players. You know what that tells me right there if you go so far to make emotional argumentation as your own valid argument and make it one strong point. It's just like saying, well, I got beat up in PvP and someone made fun of me once and now I hate PvPers. It's just like saying, yeah, I went to a cafeteria once and the food there was shit, so all cafeteria food. It's a generalization. And most generalizations, or many generalizations, and even that is some kind of generalization, so that argument is shit, are bullshit. I'm sorry. And especially this generalization is bullshit. You cannot denounce an entire player base, a majority of the player base, because you hate just what they do and just don't get your fill out of that. Well, G, go play football then or something like that. But no, if you want yourself to be in no contact with any other person and want to live in your little sheltered world, have fun doing that. But while we are out there having fun and doing stuff we like, yeah, you cannot denounce us for that. And you cannot denounce an entire player base and say, oh yeah, you are all bullshit, I hate you all. And, no, the game is an action RPG because I play it like an action RPG. Again, Kong Fight, congratulations, but it's not an action RPG. If I go into any wiki, and Google Dragon Ball Xenoverse, I say Google it, search for Dragon Ball Xenoverse, and that wiki has an article about that, it says it's a fighting role-playing game. It's not an action role-playing game. That's something different. Dark Souls is an action role-playing game. Fucking Darksiders is an action role-playing game because you fight bosses and fight weak enemies. And yes, the enemies in Xenoverse get weak when you level up, but that's just the RPG aspect of that. If you would, for example, take a normal Dragon Ball character, like, I don't know, let me say Frieza, for example. If I would play the entire game with Frieza, or every mission with Frieza, or just stat as Frieza, I would have balanced fights. That's just how the world is. And the end game of the game is just like, yeah, go out there and fight those other Xenoverse characters. Fight the Xenoverse characters of your friends. Beat each other up and have a good laugh about that. And say, whoa, you have such a sick build. That was the thing that it was marketed for. It's just like saying, yeah, Budokai 3, who also had a statting system, is an action RPG because you fight other characters and have a skill system. And he even said, yeah, it's a part action RPG. No, it's a fucking fighting game. It's just, if I put an RPG aspect into fucking Mortal Kombat or Street Fighter, it doesn't make it an action RPG. And it does not make fucking Naruto games an action RPG if I make a customization aspect into that. It's still a fighting game. It's just like saying, yeah, Budokai Tenkaichi 3 is a fighting game, but as soon as you have an experience bar in there, it's not a fighting game anymore. You see how ridiculous your argumentation is? Oh my god. And with that raging topic, I wish everyone a happy 2016, and I would say, see you on the next video. Goodbye, ciao ciao, auf Wiedersehen.